Huh?
Are you tired of Robin Hood being portrayed by Kevin Costner?
I guess?
Are you tired of Ridley Scott making mediocre Robin Hood films?
Now that you mention it...
Are you sick and tired of Robin Hood being portrayed as a fox?
Okay, now you've lost me. I'm going back to dreaming about Elsa Lanchester.
Wait! What if I told you which Robin Hood film has the best cast?
I'm listening. Continue, stranger.
Okay. Una O'Connor is in it.
You mean the Shrieking Lady for Bride of Frankenstein and the Invisible Man?
The same! It also has Basil Rathbone!
Sherlock Holmes and Wolf Frankenstein?
Claude Rains!
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Casablanca, Phantom of the Opera, The Wolfman!
Starring as Robin Hood, Errol Flynn. Hey, you okay? Well, I'll, leave you to watch the movie then. I don't even know who I'm supposed to be.
Hello and welcome. As you can tell by the title, I'm the obsessed movie man, O.M.M. When were you introduced to the story of Robin Hood? Was it through the Disney film? Did you see Kevin Costner take on the role? How about the Mel Brooks film with the character? In any case, the Robin Hood story is as famous as any fairy tale, and there have been multiple interpretations of the story. For the longest time, my favorite version has been the Disney film, mostly for nostalgic reasons. But now, I've come across one that is my new favorite, The Adventures of Robin Hood, starring Errol Flynn. I've heard about this film before, and have seen brief clips of it throughout the years, but for whatever reason, I never got around to watching it. Not until I discovered the cast of the film did I become interested. Seriously, what film buff wouldn't want to see Errol Flynn play Robin Hood? Who is Errol Flynn, some of you might be asking? Well... allow me to explain. Errol Flynn was an action-adventure film star. He did a majority of his own stunts and was generally depicted as the good-looking hero. His personal life was not the best. Granted, he was well-liked, but he was a real ladies' man, which sometimes got him into trouble, and had a drinking problem. Think of him as the Tony Stark of acting. He died at the age of 50 due to a heart attack, but still is remembered both fondly and tragically in Hollywood. What a pleasant history lesson. Now let's talk about the adventures of Robin Hood. While returning to England after fighting in the Crusades, King Richard is captured by enemies and held for ransom. Instead of paying the ransom, Richard's brother John takes the throne, gathers a bunch of Richard's men who now serve him, and raises the people's taxes. But there is one man who resists Prince John, and that is Sir Robin of Locksley, or Robin Hood, and he begins to gather a group of people who will help him fight for good, steal from the rich to give to the poor, and protect all those in need. The first thing that immediately impressed me with the film were the sets and locations. Everything looked so grand and huge and reminded me why I love these big, old-school Hollywood films. The castles, forests, and towns look to be a combination of real places and something out of a fairy tale book. It also highlights vibrant color schemes which are even evident when we are in the castle. It's not just a bland gray, there are well-lit torches and colorful costumes and portraits all over the place. Even some matte paintings are used to make the kingdom look bigger in some shots. At the time, Robin Hood was Warner Brothers' most expensive film with an estimate cost of $2 million. On top of that, it was the first large-budget color film for the studio. With all that said, you can see how well it paid off in the finished product, and it looks so good that the film won an Oscar for Best Art Direction. It looks astounding. There are also great deals of stunts in the film that are very well done. There's archery, of course, but there's also sword fighting, staff fighting, jumping, kicking, swinging, and more ings than I can possibly keep track of. One of my favorite stunts in the film is actually not of one of an actor seen doing something, but it's of the famous split arrow shot during the archery contest. Robin Hood shoots an arrow that goes through another arrow, splitting it in half. The shot was done by archer Howard Hill, who also did all the shots when an arrow has to hit a human target. Now let's get on to what I really want to talk about, the cast. Now the ensemble cast does a good job as well, but I'll bring up the main four. Una O'Connor is in the film, and while she's not in the film a whole lot, she does play an important part as the nurse to Maid Marian Bess. While she doesn't scream like in her horror films, and while she is a little over the top here as well, it's much more restrained.
And I hate that!
You don't hire Una O'Connor to be restrained, you hire her to go crazy on screen! Still, she does well in the role, and it's wonderful to see her in another film. Then there's Basil Rathbone as Sir Guy. He's the angry, romantic rival to Robin Hood for Marianne's affections. And for whatever reason, when I saw his performance, I immediately thought of Walter Peck from Ghostbusters. You know how Peck has nothing but hatred for the Ghostbusters but is just doing his job? That's basically Rathbone in this film. He's made to look like an ass by Robin Hood countless times in the film and just wants him dead. The only difference is that Rathbone is by far more sinister here than Walter Peck. I mean, what do you expect? This is simply elementary, my dear viewers. Also in the film is one of my favorite actors, Claude Rains as Prince John. Now I've seen Claude play good guys, flawed guys, and people who are supposed to be tragic villains, but this is the first time I've seen him play a pure villain. He plays it seriously, but you can tell that he's having a lot of fun playing this character. I love the scene when Robin Hood comes to John's party unannounced and places a dead deer on the table, and Prince John doesn't show any signs of anger. Instead, he gives Robin a seat and food, and has a conversation with him. It's obviously a trap, and you get a sense of craftiness to John's character. He has total confidence that he's going to get Robin killed, and is trying to toy with him like a cat playing with his food. And then we have the man himself, Errol Flynn as Robin Hood. For a performance that Flynn reportedly called boring, it's really hard to tell, because Flynn also seems to be having a real good time. He brings a lot of charm, wit, and appeal to the character, and makes you want to follow him yourself. He can be playful and funny, but also be serious and give speeches that could give Aragorn a run for his money. His laugh might be a little annoying sometimes, but the character himself is not. It's really impressive to see a character that's so full of life and joy, who can also be very inspiring. There's a great moment when Marianne asks him why he does what he does, and Robin shows him a group of sick people. Not many words are spoken, he just shows her all these men, women, and children who are suffering, and even while showing her this, he still shows a warm smile to the people around him. I'm serious when I say he's a really good heroic character. The Adventures of Robin Hood boasts lavishly colorful set pieces, very impressive stunts, a wonderful swashbuckling story, and a terrific cast. Some might say it might be a little too corny, but I think the story of a man who dresses like Disney's Peter Pan and lives in the forest with other people who dress the same deserves to be corny and fun. If you must choose only one Robin Hood film, make your target be The Adventures of Robin Hood. Thanks, this is an O.M.M review. This is O.M.M, signing out.